Hi, Dan. Hey, what are you doing? What?
He's our guest for today.
Is he really?
Yeah.
You are? Ah! Well, we need to set up another microphone.
I got the mic.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Look who's here.
Yesterday, I'm talking to a friend of mine in Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
Her name's Bobby Mastracci. She's like, you got to have your dad on the show. Like, you talk about him all the time. You got to have him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you're right. So, Bobby, meet my dad, Bill Barron.
Nice to meet you, Bobby.
Everybody else is Bill Barron.
This is William G. Barron, the original.
The original, the infamous. And welcome to Commercially Speaking. I'm Timmy Barron, ADHD.
And I'm Bo Barron, CCIM.
And this is Bill Barron, CCIM.
That's right.
Yeah.
And grandfather
And grandfather.
That's right.
of your grandchildren.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, meet the grandfather of our children.
And you've got the dad shirt on too and everything.
That's right.
That's great.
That's right.
Well, cool. Well, before we jump into it, I had planned to play a few songs and have Bo guess the tune.
So maybe you can guess them before me, since
Yeah,
you're such a
good luck on
music
that. Yeah.
aficionado.
I love music.
Yeah, I don't know if we will, but yeah, you want to jump into it?
Yeah, let's try it.
All right, Dad, this is what we do on our podcast.
I've listened to a few of them.
Yes, you
About
have.
60.
You've listened to them all.
I think so.
Yeah. In this is Name the Tune. I will just play like a few notes and see if you can get it. If you can't, I'm going to add a few more notes and so on and so forth. All right?
Final countdown.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Good job.
Up. Yeah.
So they are like the poster child of the one-hit wonder.
Oh, right.
And I remember when that song was popular when I was a kid.
Uh-huh.
The word was when they'd play a concert, they would open and close their show with that song.
Really?
Like they were such a one-hit wonder, they played it twice.
That's
I don't know
funny.
if that's true or not. I never went to a concert, but
Yeah, the last, I think, 2 or 3 weeks of school, Una's teacher would play that song because they were in the final countdown. And so she'd want to listen to it all the time. And I taught her how to play that.
oh yeah,
So she'll come here and be like, all right, cool. 1 for 1. Do you know the name of the band?
Europe.
Europe. That's right. Good, because I forgot.
Me too.
They were that song.
Do you
came
recognize
back,
that song?
I recognize the song, yeah.
Yeah.
That song came back probably in the last 10 years. They were in a commercial where they were in a microwave. Like little band in a microwave.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was the countdown and the.
Okay, cool. What was the next one I was going to do? Okay. Here we go. Oh.
It's ringing a bell. No?
No?
Nothing?
What are you doing?
Yeah, I think I got it.
All right, let me give you a
Give me
little
a
more.
Thanks for playing it twice as long.
Hey, this is the game.
Oh, it's close, but
It's
I
there.
don't have it.
All right, you ready for a little bit more?
Uh-huh.
Oh. Dang it. You ready for more?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's Beatles, isn't it?
Nope. So close, Dad.
That's all I got though. Like I couldn't.
Ooh, you make me feel.
Yeah.
You're my best friend.
That's not Beatles.
No, it's
Paul McCartney.
no, not Paul McCarthy.
McCartney.
Paul
McCartney.
McCartney. Paul McCartney.
Yep.
Have you seen this shirt? It's Imagine.
Well, yeah,
Right.
but Elton John instead of John Lennon.
Yeah. Elton John Lennon. Love me a little Elton John.
Is it
Imagine.
Elton John? Is that who it is?
That is Elton John.
No. I mean the song.
No, that's Queen.
Oh, it is.
You're My Best Friend by Queen.
You're my best friend.
Ooh, you're making me live.
Okay, I should have got that one.
Okay, last one.
All right.
I know it. I'll never get over you till the grass grows over me. By Little Enos.
If I knew you were coming in, I'd have that prepared. Dad, I got to tell our viewers, Dad has said that our whole life.
Yeah.
Anytime we're at a place and someone's playing, he'll always request that song in karaoke or
It
anywhere.
is a song.
Right, but I didn't know that until a couple years ago.
Oh, you thought he just made up the...
I thought he was making it up.
Character.
Yeah,
No.
I could never find it. I looked it up one time and still didn't click. But then a show came out on Showtime with Michael Shannon and Jessica Chastain. It's called George and Tammy. And George covered that song by Little Enos. He made it popular.
George Jones.
Yeah, George Jones.
Yep.
George Jones.
Little Enos would actually play his guitar upside down and backwards.
Oh.
Like this. Instead of like this.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Huh.
Okay, what's this one again?
You're good. You're good.
Mm-hmm.
You might get it as soon as I play the next little bit.
No, that did not help me.
Dad?
It's pretty, but I've never heard it before. Oh, that is the Beatles.
It is the Beatles.
Yeah.
Well, it's technically not the Beatles, but I would
John
accept
Lennon.
that. It's John Lennon.
Is it Imagine?
It's Imagine. He said the Beatles. I was like, oh, they don't know what's coming. And I was like, ah. So there it is, the Beatles. How did you do? Let us know in the comments.
Hey, we've got a special guest today.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And I've been meaning to do this for a while, but, there's a reason I'm in the industry at all. And it's because of this guy. In fact, growing up, but you didn't really bring work home with you. So it's not something we talked about at the dinner table. And, and mom was in the industry as well up until I was about 12.
That's right. We haven't really talked about that much at all. How Mom was really into it.
Yeah, of course, she had the Century 21 franchise, which I think was the largest one in Kentucky at the time. And, we had two folks that were completely in real estate.
That's right.
But, beyond pictures of me in like a gold Century 21 jacket when I was like 5 years old, helping with open houses and stuff, like we didn't really grow up learning about it much other than our parents were in the industry.
And to me, like Mom got out of the industry when I was
2.
Yeah, like itty bitty. So I didn't remember that part of her at all. Like to me, Mom was just stay-at-home mom.
Yeah,
a great one too.
But what was it like for you growing up with your dad in the business? Like, was it a topic of conversation at home?
Well, I watched him, of course, all the time. First of all, he worked for my granddad, my mother's dad, Bill Griffin, who we're named after, William Griffin, in the appliance
William
business.
Hart Griffin.
William Hart Griffin,
I'm
Timmy
also named
Hart
after.
Barron. That's right. And
I'm in there too.
that's right. Got a lot of family names rolling around and 15 grandchildren. But
Well, wait. It is like 15 is a new number.
it's a new number as of this week.
So, like, shout out to Sheldon
Sheldon Barron.
James Barron, right?
That's right. Sheldon James
So, yeah.
Barron.
Shout out to Kylie and Beamer. They just had Sheldon.
They just had grandchild number 15.
Yeah.
Number 15. That's
Like
right.
literally 3 days ago. 3?
It was, I think it was Sunday.
Sunday.
I think it was Sunday. Yep.
4. Yep.
And they did a great job. Mom and I went up there and saw the baby and talked to the family, and her family all came in, and it was really a blessing
Yes.
for sure. Yeah. But anyway, we're talking about the history, basically. And I remember as a small child, I always remember my dad saying, "I'm going to work. I'm going to work." So the word work meant a lot because I knew that whenever they said work, it's kind of a special thing. So as soon as I got about 6 years old, I wanted to go to work with my dad, and my granddad, William Griffin. So they had Griffin Electric Company, and anytime I wanted to go to work, they'd take me down there, and I'd roam around the store. And my dad was selling appliances down on the floor. My grandfather had an office upstairs. My uncle had an office upstairs. His name was Sloan Griffin. And they had electrical companies. So they wired houses. They wired industrial buildings. It was quite a large company, and they sold it to Dyna Electric later. So I always wanted to go to work. So I was always trying to learn about what work meant, right? And I remember one of the kids, one of you all, they asked in school, "So what does your dad do?"
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah. And what did you say?
I said work.
He does work.
It's like, what does he do for work? I go, well, no, he works at work.
He works at work.
Yeah,
That's right.
he works at work.
Right. So then my dad eventually left the Griffin Electric Company and went into the home building business, right? So when I came up and was 16, old enough to go to work for real and be on the payroll, I went to work on the construction crew, building houses, and I did that for 6 years, 6 summers throughout college and so forth. And so when I got out of school, I came back and went to work with my dad, Jared Barron, at Barron Homes, and we built houses. And in fact, over his career and my career, we built 2,300 houses. Wow. And developed subdivisions. So we would buy land, put in the streets, sewers, sidewalks, and divide it up into lots and build houses. And so that was interesting. It was very risky business.
Yeah, I didn't know all that. I thought it was just I knew Barron Homes, they built houses. I didn't realize that you all bought land and made subdivisions, did the sewage and the pavement and
Yep,
the whole
we did
deal.
all that.
I did not know that.
In fact,
I did not know that.
and all that money to do that is up front. You either have to borrow it or have the money to buy the land and put in all the improvements and so forth. So it's very risky business. And as the economy ebbs and flows, you got to be able to get through those ebbs and flows. We were able to do it, but there were some tight moments for sure during that period of time.
What year are we in that 6 years? Are we in the
6
60s?
years was 1966 through 1972. In 1972, I went to work in the office. He asked me, so you want to be on the construction side, on the sales side, and development, technical part of it. And I said, I'd like to be on the technical part. Mm-hmm. But I had to think about it because I really enjoyed the construction end of it. I really did. And I learned it. I mean, I loved it, So that's given me a really, really good background. And of course, all the development background, too, was very good. So I went to work with him in the office selling houses.
Now, Like at some point when I was in elementary school, Dad won Small Business of the Year.
Yeah.
Which
Small
is
Businessman
Entrepreneur of the Year.
Yeah, they call it Entrepreneur of the Year now.
Involved in that now.
But then it was called the Small Businessman of the Year Award, or whatever. So I went to school and told my friends that he won the Small Man of the Year Award. Because I didn't know.
Oh, if only they gave
5'8" you know what you think.
Now look, when
if
I was
only they gave an award for that.
and when I was in elementary school, that you were a large human, you know.
Yeah.
So I wasn't even thinking in terms of, we're all about 5'6" to 5'8". None of us are large.
I remember you being a lot taller. To a 12-year-old, I'm huge.
And I always thought that our kids would outgrow us because Joe and I are not very tall, but nobody has.
That's all right.
Grandkids have.
Yeah.
I was able to pull that off. My boys are bigger than the rest of us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We talked about this the other night. Did you study business?
I did.
Yeah.
Business administration was my degree.
So when you got out of college, was that when he asked you, do you want to keep doing construction or go in the office?
Yes,
Yes.
that's when he asked me. First of all, I asked him if I could come alongside into business. And he had a partner at the time named Rudy Martin, and they were 50-50, and they were into business. And Rudy handled the construction side. My dad did the development and sales side of it. And you said, did I know what my dad did? I pretty much knew what he did because after he left the Griffin Electric company and got into the home building business, then he also built some apartments and had some apartments. And he took calls, rental calls, all time of day and night. And of course, if there was a vacancy, that was, zero money coming in on that vacancy. So he took it. So I can't tell you how many times we're sitting down eating dinner and he gets a call. And of course, then you don't have cell numbers. You get up, go to the telephone. So, yep, okay, I'll be there in half hour, 45 minutes and come back. My mother, she hated that.
Oh, yeah, I bet. And, Frankie May.
But I would always say, hey, can I go with you? So I'd go with him and I'd watch him show the place and everything. So by the time I was about 13 or 14 years old, I could show a house. I knew every detail of it, every feature that he did, aluminum gutters, you never have to paint it, insulation, how much is in the walls and the windows and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So that just kind of stuck to me. I always liked hanging around my dad. So that was the early days. And then Rudy Martin, he decided to retire several years after I came back. So we bought the business. I bought part of it, and my dad bought the rest of Rudy's side. So then we owned all of it. And he set it up, and we had 4 children. He did. He set it up where everybody could buy in 20% if they wanted. And then he had 20, so that's 100%. And most of the time he had at least 40 or 60%.
So when was it you took your first CCIM course?
My dad, he was always encouraging to me, right? He didn't try to keep me in between certain lines, but I was in the home building business. And then I went to a CCIM class, I believe, in 1977. Might have been 79, but I think it was right in that time period. And I went to 101. And when I came back, man, I mean, that taught me how to analyze a property by the numbers, right?
Yep.
Which you can watch the last 4 episodes or check out this playlist right here because Bo walks me through all those numbers and how to get them.
Well, what he's talking about is
Underwriting
an actual property. What we did was we underwrote a market.
Oh, gotcha.
So what we did was more 102 type stuff. What he's talking about is 101 type stuff. And so you'd never really want to pull the trigger on a particular deal
Oh, gotcha.
until you understand the market that it's in. So you really need to marry up the skills you learn in 101 and 102. And then there's 103 and 104 as well. But like
Well, in
what
that
he's
case,
talking about, when you really dial in and take a look at a piece of property, that's more than 101 skills.
in that case, watch this episode. Why Bo bought a bank.
Yep.
I interrupt a lot in this show.
Yeah, that's all. You've always done that.
Yep.
Not just a show.
Oh, would you like to hang on to that while we?
Yeah, well, I'll have some. I know. But anyway, where were we?
Your first CCIM class, which I'm
Yes.
curious. I'm curious how'd you know about it?
That is really a good question. I don't even remember how I learned about it.
Well, you said Granddad took some CCIM courses. Did he do it before or after?
No, he did it after.
After, okay.
Yeah, I came back and said, oh, man, you got to take these courses, And he was just about ready to retire, which he retired pretty early. He retired when he was 62.
Oh, wow.
Out of the business.
Mm-hmm.
And he did a lot of other things, but he didn't do the day-to-day. So, but I really said he got to do it. So he went and took a couple of classes. But anyway, I took 101, and I came back, and it was like just a light bulb went off in my mind. It really taught me how to analyze a property, and which I didn't really know how to do that. And my college education was just in general. And I never connected up, okay, this is what I'm learning, this is how it's going to work. Yeah, but when I took a 101, I was already in the real estate business and development and so forth, and I wanted to invest more and more into real estate, and this showed me how to analyze a property. So I came back and immediately bought a property. I bought the Midtown building at 920 Frederica Street.
Barron Homes office used to be there. Mm-hmm. When I would go to work with Dad, like on the weekends, if he would go in when I was younger or in the summers or whatever, I'd just run around the halls. And so Dr. Higginson, there's a bunch of little doctor off, like Dr.
Dental
Wilson
office.
was in there too, I think. Like our dentist and our orthodontist were in there. And
so anyway, I came back, and that was for sale. And I immediately bought it with some of the things that I learned. I said, I'll buy it if you'll finance it for 4 months. Now, in fact, I think they financed it completely, but no payments for 4 months. Yeah. The thing about it, I drove by it, that building been for sale for 2 or 3 years, and I'd driven past it. I thought, shoot, man, that's an old building. That's nobody ever buy that. Then when I came back and I looked at it, and the numbers worked. And I knew that I could do some renovation, but not a lot. I mean, didn't have to do a lot. The bones were really good. So I bought it, and the next weekend, I painted all the hallways and put in new carpet. So the tenants went home. They didn't know this was going to happen. They come back on Monday morning, and the hallways are painted, new ceiling tile, and new carpet. Whoa. And
then what'd you do?
Then they went home the next weekend, and they come back and they had rent increases. Because all of them, the leases had run out, and it was just, everything was open. So, and it turned out just to be a tremendous deal. And like I said, Malcolm still owns it. And we were in partnerships together. And so when we divided our partnerships, he got that building, and I got the self-storage.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when I've told the story about going to the recruiters at that point in my life, they were all there in the Midtown building. In that, how you got the building, and then there's kind of that, almost like a strip center that comes out of it towards the road. They were all right there in a line.
Yeah.
And I just went down the line.
And then I took the other courses too. But it was a long time before I got to CCIM. Because, in fact, I was thinking that I probably never would get it, because I was really enjoying the knowledge that I got, and I was using it to invest in real estate and do brokerage too. But really, I used it for investing ourselves. And then eventually, the people I worked with, they just kept telling me, "You got to get it, you got to get it," and so I did what it took to. I did the test, turned in the deals.
Don't skip over the good story, because you took the comprehensive exam in New Orleans, correct?
Correct.
And so tell us about taking the exam.
Well, of course, it was years after I'd taken all the course, so I went back to a refresher course, right? And so I think it's like a 3-day refresher course.
They call it the CCR, Comprehensive Course Review.
Yeah.
I don't know what they called it back then, but yeah.
So I'm sitting in there and I'm thinking, I'm older now, right? I've been through that. I've done a lot of deals, and I don't want to flunk this test. I'm supposed to be the expert. And so I'm sitting in this class, and viewers can't see, but I'm sitting in class, and I'm tense, and I'm leaning forward, and I've got my feet are up on my toes, right, and my calves are flexed for 3 days, which I didn't even realize that. Okay. But I'm really tuned in. And so the day of the test, I get up that morning and I cannot hardly walk because my calves are knotted up. That's what started the day. And then, of course, I down some coffee and everything, and I go in and sit down at the test, and they say, if you need to go to the restroom's down the hall and so forth, and you have to take a proctor with you. You can't just go by yourself because they didn't want you to cheat, right? And so test starts, and about 15 minutes in, man, I got to go to the restroom, And so I get up, get a proctor. The restroom's about a half mile down this hallway. I'm not kidding you, it's way down there. It's in a big hotel. Yeah. And so I go down and I come back and I get started on the test, About 15 minutes later, I got to go again. And this happened through the whole test. I don't know how physically a person can go to the bathroom that often, but my nerves were so jammed up. So I'm hobbling down to the restroom with my calves knotted up. This proctor's going, I don't know. I thought he was going to go in and actually stand behind me, but he didn't. So it was really tense for me. Yeah. But I made it through.
You got your steps in and you passed the test?
I got my steps in for sure.
Oh, that's funny. I don't know if I knew that.
It was something that was really unusual.
Yeah. It is unusual.
It was. Yeah. It was really.
I'm glad we got that on record.
Yeah, me too. That's real important. Real important. Yeah. In fact, you can cut that out. Probably be a good idea.
No. Even a.
Well, that was funny. But
so you got your CCIM, and is Granddad still part of the business when you got your CCIM?
No, he wasn't still in the business, but wasn't too long after that he got his CCIM.
Mm-hmm.
He's got his too. Yeah.
So, at what point did it go from Barron Homes to a commercial real estate business? Was it soon after that?
Yeah, it was I think in the mid to late 90s when I finished developing. In fact, I know it was. Around 1986, my wife and I both, Joe, your all's mother, you all remember this. Yeah, you met her. You remember
Love
this.
you, Mom.
But we had a really...
This is probably one of your all's best years. 1986?
Yeah, that's when you were born.
That's right.
Yeah. It was.
Y'all were baptized. Y'all were born again, and I was born.
That's right.
For real.
That's what I was getting ready to tell you.
Oh yeah.
I think Mom was baptized when you were about to be born.
That's why I popped out left-handed and talented.
Lord said, I think the Lord said, "I'm going to play a joke on you people."
Yeah. Something in that baptism
it's a tremendous blessing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's at that time when we came to the Lord and accepted Christ as our personal Savior, and I read the Scripture through completely from cover to cover. And then I became convinced that for us, it would be best to be debt-free. And so we purposed at that point to get out of debt, and we were in a lot of debt because we're doing a lot of deals, right? We're developing and building houses, and we're also buying and building rentals investments for ourselves. And was good. But the home building end of it, like I said, that's really risky. I mean, we went through times where the prime interest rate went up 21%, and when people they're not buying new houses during that period of time, interest rates are really high. So you have this inventory on the hand. It was close. It was close during that time. So anyway, so I spent 10 years really getting out of debt. But in order to do that, I shut down or really worked down the subdivisions and the home building part of it, and then did just the brokerage part and investing part, but no longer did the home building part anymore.
I remember you talking about that time.
Well, I was just going to say from like 86 to 95. Was it 95 you got out of debt? Like that was kind of the mission accomplished at that point. That's me from like age 9 to 18. So like when I started paying attention to what Dad was doing, I grew up with a commercial real estate broker as a dad. Like that's really what he was doing. When I was driving around town as a high school kid, it was his face on all those signs.
That's right. Yeah.
I couldn't go anywhere where he wasn't looking at me.
Yeah, he was always looking
like
at us.
He could always see. Probably kept me out of some trouble. But I grew up with a broker as a dad, so that's kind of the part of the business that made sense to me.
And for a small community like this, I really specialized in commercial and industrial real estate. I didn't do houses. So those signs were on
that's right.
those kind of properties. And it was really pretty unusual for somebody in this small community to specialize only in commercial and industrial real estate.
It's still that way today for Barron Commercial Group. Like we don't do houses.
That's right.
I wouldn't have a clue.
So, but before 1986, Mom was doing Century 21,
correct,
and do that, and you were doing Barron Homes. You're still called Barron Homes at the time. You all were kind of this is before you all became born again Christians, right? And you all were kind of in competition with each other as far as not a business competition, but as individuals. Just like, I got to work. No, I got to work, or whatever.
It was really competition for time, right? And she had her business, which I was the ownership of that business too, but she ran it, and I had my business, and there would be realtor meetings and home builder meetings and Chamber of Commerce meetings, which your mother did a great job at the Chamber of Commerce. And so at home, I saw this the other day up in the attic. We've got boxes full of thank you certificates, plaques, all this kind of different stuff. And before we came to Christ, I would say, all this stuff we were doing in the community. And it's good stuff, right? But for us, it wasn't that good because we were focusing on things which I'll call were wood, hay, and stubble, really. And so I told her, I said, we ought to get a big box and call it the wood, hay, and stubble box and throw all these past things in. Now, if you're doing it for the right reasons and to honor the Lord with what you're doing, that would be the right reason. For us at that time, it was ego. It was more, it's more just ego and and everybody, I still fight that type of thinking and so forth, being in the flesh instead of in the spirit.
Yeah. And I brought that up because after that moment, as you were talking about filtering out the development side, right? So in 1986, you read the Bible cover to cover. Mom made the decision to stay home with the kids for the most part. So
we sold that business.
Sold that business, and you started to trim down your business to just focus on essentially just commercial real estate.
Correct.
So you simplified to where it looked like there was so much that you were doing and accomplishing. If you were to simplify, that means, you would initially think oh, if I'm cutting this out, then I'm cutting out that income, and we're just going to make less. But your focus was on getting out of debt, and it kind of went the opposite way.
That's exactly right. In fact, what we wanted to do is put more margin in our lives to be able to be better parents. And I worked on Saturday and Sunday when I was in the home building business. Sunday afternoon, you're in the model home, and I saw my dad do that almost his whole career. Mm-hmm. And so I was used to it. If I wanted to hang around my dad, I went with him on Sunday afternoon to the model home, watched him show houses, a little break into action, and we could yuck it up a little bit. But so I wanted to change that after our conversion, mm-hmm. and so we did it. I mean, we sold her business. She came home. That was, I'd say, the happiest day of my business career is when Joe came home to be a mother and a wife full time, and that was awesome. But what happened is the Lord, He, in His grace, He expanded things exponentially. Not just in our family. We went more children, and we had you and Cody, mm-hmm. and then there were 6 years, and then we had 4 more children. The last one coming when we're 41 years old, mm-hmm. right? So, like I said, the Lord just exploded things exponentially. And then I was also involved in the banking industry, mm-hmm. as you guys know. And that happened in 1983, so I was 33 when that happened.
Well, I remember we took a family vacation to Florida at one point, and I think this was the one where I caught the flu, and I was basically sick throughout. But I remember you teaching me, like financially, why you were trying to get out of debt. And what I remember was, if you just thought of like a big pie, this was the assets you had under management, so to speak, and there was a lot of debt on that. And so there's more income coming in because it was a big pie, but there was a lot of debt service. A lot of that cash flow came in and went right back out the other way. And so if you pared it down to just 20% of the pie that was debt-free, the net income was the same or better. You didn't have the risk associated with all the debt, and you had much less to manage, which means you had much more margin in your life to be. I remember you kind of taking me through that and thinking, why wouldn't you do that? You've got so much less to be responsible for, and the dollars are essentially the same. And the risk is so much lower. So the world can kind of throw at you any kind of pandemic curveball or whatever, and you sleep just fine at night because you don't know.
That's right.
Yeah, what I remember growing up is those kind of things, like Dad talking about living life in a way where you can sleep at night, mm-hmm. and how he's able to sleep at night, and prioritizing your life properly. But like, I grew up where you went to work Monday through Friday. You were done at 5 and you were home. There was no working on the weekends, and there was no talk of work other than I'm going to work, mm-hmm. which is why when I was asked in preschool, what does your dad do? Well, he goes to work, works at work. So,
and it wasn't like there was a rule against talking about work.
No,
it was just that he was more interested in us.
Right. He had 6 kids. When would he have any word to talk about what he was doing during the day? We got 2 little girls. I can't get a word out. You
got to admit, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
All you guys.
Yeah.
And the other thing that's really unusual too is my whole life I've only lived in 3 houses, and my parents built the house that I grew up in. And I lived there till I went to college. And then when I got out of college and got married, I built a house.
2713 Dartmouth Drive.
That's exactly right. And
Dartmouth.
And we went in 1973. And then in 1988, we built the house where we are now. Mm. So that's really kind of unusual for most people.
Yeah.
Well, it's unusual to build them. build each house probably, and we've just lived in houses we built, and then the other thing, just 3 over the years. And I've been very thankful. But that's a kind of a steady, plodding type life. And, you know, you do things that way, steady plodding, and the Lord will allow you to be steward over more things, I think.
We're about to build our once it's done, it'll be our 3rd house in 5 years.
I can't even count how many houses I've lived in.
Well, 1 until you were 18.
That's right. Yeah, 1 until I was 18. And then several after that. Lots of couches.
Well, of course, when I went to college, I had an apartment and I lived in the dorm stuff. Sure. I'm not counting that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm just talking about when I was responsible for a family. Yeah.
Right.
And I've told this story before, but like Dad's responsible for me being a CCIM myself.
Right.
Because when I got out of the Marine Corps, he made me create a resume and send it to him. Basically conducted somewhat of an interview and made a condition of my employment that I got the designation within X number of years. I don't remember how many years he gave me to do it.
Right.
And the whole time I'm thinking, okay, this is a good experience, but like, are you really not going to hire me? You know,
right.
Like, is there really a scenario here where I don't get the job?
Right.
But
I'm glad you brought that up because we've heard that side of the story and it's great. I want to know, like, so around this time, you know, you got 6 kids. Are you thinking one of them is going to work, at least one of them is going to come to work with me? I never felt any pressure from you or Mom.
me neither.
And I know you have a ton of trust in the Lord, right? So there's not much worry. You sleep really well. But I am curious, like, what were your thoughts on? I want to hear your side of the story there of what you felt and then what you were going to make Bo do to get in. Like, I want to hear your.
There was never any make him do anything to get in.
No, I know that.
I'm just telling you that. But I was just going through the process because it's a good process, you know. And if he was going somewhere else, he would be going through that process. But there was never thought in my mind that we wouldn't work together, right? I hold things fairly loose, really. I mean, these assets, I don't consider them to be mine. They're the Lord's assets, and we manage them, right? And same way with the kids. You know, I'd like to create opportunities for people, for our children, in any different ways that we can. And so I wasn't thinking, you know, I named you after me and you had to come by. I wasn't thinking in that regard. I was just deeply honored that you'd have the interest to do that. And that was really cool. And Brad and Cody, they bought the Go Mini business. And that was something that I started too. And to have you guys, the 3 of us sitting in here doing this, oh, what a blessing.
Isn't that cool?
Oh, just tremendous blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't even imagine that.
Me neither.
Years ago. And to have you all come back to Owensboro, tremendous blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, I just pinch myself just about every day. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, for all the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I don't think anybody thought we'd be back here.
Me neither. And you saw what I did, right? I jumped in the car, took off up to get you.
Yeah.
Before you change your mind.
Yeah. It's like I need some.
In the truck, actually.
Some help. Yeah.
U-Haul truck.
You did. You're like, I'm coming to help.
I drove a U-Haul truck all the way back down there.
That's right.
And,
yeah. Thanks for that.
I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
I got a question for you guys. What is the most intense time that you remember me catching you guys?
Catching us?
Yeah, doing something you weren't supposed to. I know what it is with you.
Yeah, and I wonder if we have the same one.
I bet it is.
A few come to mind, but there's one in particular that comes. Do you have one in mind for Bo?
I don't really have one in mind for Bo at the moment, but
I had near misses. So I remember I had a buddy of mine spend the night one time, and we were gonna sneak out the back, hop the fence into Owen Park, and then there was a girl who lived in Owen Park that we were going to go see. And we get to the back fence. And you know what I hear? What do I hear?
What are you guys doing?
No. I hear the alarm going on.
Oh, the alarm. Yeah.
And so we had like 30 seconds of those beeps before it was armed.
Yes.
And I looked at my buddy. I was like, we got 30 seconds to get back in that house.
Yeah.
And so we did. We ran back to the house, went in, and
Okay, so the story that Dad's thinking of.
The story that I'm thinking of is I get up, go to the restroom, right? And
middle of the night, yeah.
middle of the night, maybe early in the morning, or not early in the morning, but just real early in the morning. And so I'm coming back to get back in bed, and I just kind of look down the driveway, get back in bed, and then all of a sudden, I just saw my car going down the driveway.
Now let me pick it up.
No lights on.
Let me pick it up from there. Okay. I'm in the house, and this is before I've got a cell phone. I'm 15. I don't have a driver's license. I can't sleep. And there were several times I would sneak out of the house for really no reason. I was just bored, couldn't sleep, and this time I was like, I'm going to go over to Bailey's house, was the girl I was dating, and just surprise her. And she has no idea, and this is probably around 10 or 11 at night. I was like, I'm just going to go surprise her. And I wrote a note so I could knock on her window and be like, hey, don't be scared, it's me, whatever. So we can't leave the house at night because there's an alarm. If we walk out the door, the alarm goes off. And in order to turn the alarm off, there's beeps that would wake everybody up. So I figured I would climb out the window in the living room. There's windows all along every wall, from
Great room.
Yeah, the great room. And you could easily open one of those windows and squeeze through the backyard. And I was like, I'll do that. And then I'll go around to the garage and put in the code, open the garage, and take Dad's purple PT Cruiser.
Now, I don't think you had your license at the time.
I
either.
did not have my license. I had my permit. And so I was like, all right, let's see if I can do this. A lot of times it was for the thrill of the, so I turn the lights off and I go down and I leave. And I drive out to Bailey's. It's about a 15-minute drive. I get there, I knock on her window, and there's nothing. I knock again. I was like, And so I looked into the garage, and her car was not in the garage. She wasn't even at home. I was like, oh, man. I was like, where could she be? And I thought, if she's anywhere right now, she'd be at her best friend's house having a sleepover. I'll try to go over there. Just see. So I drive over there, and I go to the window. I think they are. And they are there. Her and her two best friends are having a sleepover at her friend's house. I knock on the window with the thing, and I see him like, and so I go around to the front door, and turns, opens up, and there's Sarah's dad. And I see Bailey like on the couch through the living room. I see her on the couch on the phone, and I was like, "Hi, is Bailey here?" He goes, "I think you should go home." I was like, "Okay." So I get in the car. I'm like, "Oh man, he's gonna call mom and dad." I don't even know if he knew who I was. It's like he's gonna call mom and dad. I'm caught. This is awful. So just that feeling when you're driving home of like, oh, I'm in for it. So I turn into the driveway and all the lights are still off. I'm like, I might have gotten away with this. So I go in, but it's too soon, right? I go in, I pull into the garage, close the garage door, run out, go around the house to climb back in the window that I left cracked open. And so I go into the living room, close it, lock it, and all the lights are off. And I'm like, I just got away with this. He didn't call mom and dad, nothing. So I start to walk through the living room and boom, the lights pop on. And mom and dad are just standing there. It's like a horror movie.
As I remember it, I flipped the lights on as he had one foot in the house and the other out the window.
Yeah, I must have
Right
been
there.
climbing through the window, yeah.
And I flipped it on, and I said, go on up, get in bed.
No, you all didn't say a word.
Okay.
You looked at me. And this had never happened to me. Y'all looked at me, Then you both turned and went into your room.
Yeah, that's right.
And left me there. And that was the worst.
Yeah.
What do I do
Yell
right
at me,
now?
say something.
That's right.
do
That's
something.
right. That's right.
So I'm like, so I was like, well, I guess I'll just go up to my room. And I was there probably 5 minutes. I couldn't stand it. And then I went back down to their room just to be like, what? Like, give me something.
And I think we told you, so just going back to bed. We'll talk about it in the morning.
Right. Yeah. There's
So
no.
let him think about it, you know.
Yeah. I thought about it. I want to hear the side. Like, I go.
Yeah, so I see the car go down there, and I'm thinking, and then when it gets to the bottom of the driveway, the lights come on, and it turns and goes out, and I'm going, oh, man. And I wake up
Smart,
Joe,
huh?
and we decide, and then we call Bailey's house. She says she's over to, we call where she's spending the night and so forth, and tell them to send you home. And then
But apparently Bailey was on the phone with Mom and Dad. That's who. Like when I saw Bailey in there on the phone, she was talking to them.
yeah, I don't think they told you that we knew.
No,
they just told
they
you
didn't
to
say
get
that.
the heck out of here.
He just said,
And
"I think it's best you go home."
yeah, so we just decided we'd wait there.
Well,
and we talked about it. We said, won't say anything. Just
Didn't you call
let
the
him know.
police?
No, I don't think so.
Because maybe you didn't. Because I thought you had called the police to let them know that. Oh,
Our car was stolen.
yeah.
I thought about doing that,
Oh, okay.
but I don't think I did that
Yeah.
because I was going to throw you under the bus, but not that far under the bus.
Yeah. You had mentioned that later of like,
Yeah, I thought about it
yeah.
because I didn't know for sure. I think we went upstairs and checked your room and saw that you were gone.
Right.
It wasn't hard to figure out who was in the car.
Yeah. So I didn't get my license until I was 17.
And then there was this other time we were on date night, and we get this call.
This is after this. This is after.
We get what's this call? This is after this, right? He's still not supposed to be driving,
Probably.
right?
Yeah.
And I get this call. Said, Dad, I got to confess to you. Said I took the car and I went over to IGA, I think it was. I went over to IGA to get something, and just want to confess to you that I did that. I said, okay.
Still
I said,
don't have my
I really appreciate that. Okay. We'll talk to you about it when we get home. When we get home, we come to find out he locked the keys in the car over to IGA. Big confession. Yeah.
This was on their anniversary,
Yeah.
too.
Oh, the anniversary. It wasn't exactly like, my conscience is bothering me. It's like I can't get in the car.
I know. I get caught. Yeah. That was a day, like, Mange was home, and she was supposed to watch me, unbeknownst to me. She was just supposed to keep an eye on me. Our little sister, my little sister. Yeah. Yeah. A lot of stories. Well, I got a question for you before we end. What is one piece of advice you would have told yourself when you were younger? Or that you would give to anybody going into commercial real estate in that sense? And I think I might know what it is. It doesn't have to do with commercial real estate, but like a piece of advice that you'd give to a young professional or somebody. And then the other question is, what do you regret in your life? Do you have any regrets?
I'll take the second one first. It's not my nature to have a lot of regrets, because I'm having a hard time conjuring up one in my mind right now. If I had any regret, it would be wasting a lot of time in my youth, in my early adulthood, which was, I wasted a lot of time. Did things that just were like wood, hay, and stubble, like I was talking about before. And what was the other question?
A piece of advice you give to someone maybe around that time that you're talking about.
Yeah, well, my hope for anyone that I would be in a relationship with, friends or anything, is that they would come to know the Lord Jesus Christ as their Savior. And because that has eternal benefit. And so if you have you want to make an investment, that's an eternal investment. That's for eternity. And that's the most important thing that I could help anybody work for. And then secondly, if that's the case, then all that you do, it says, whatever you do, do it heartily as if for the Lord. That's Colossians 3:23. And if you're working for the Lord, and, that is stewardship. So the whole world is your workplace, and to be able to live your life in such a way that it has an eternal benefit rather than just an earthly benefit is, that's the ultimate right there. And it's available to you, and everyone out there that's listening. And so
I want to say, because you saw Dad, you grew up from newborn to 10 years old before Mom and Dad were born again. All I've experienced is a dad that can sleep at night, that prioritizes his family, the Lord, his wife, and then his kids. I've seen you not worry or be concerned about much because of your trust in the Lord, that he's in control. I have just seen, I've grown up with a dad that has just had so much grounded, faith, and everything be provided to you abundantly because of that. And I just really appreciate you and Mom both. And I'm so grateful for seeing that example. And there's been a few times where I've been worried or kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing right now or how this is going to work, especially in the business I'm in with acting, or trying to be like, I don't know what's coming, and I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills this week or whatever. Some of you told me not so long ago, we were just like, Timmy, I've never worried about you. I've never worried about you. You can do this. And I just...
You can. You are.
I know. I just feel so grateful to have you as my dad.
Thank you.
Like really, Timmy heartedly.
I appreciate you.
Yeah.
We've been very fortunate, and we have generations of men and women that have, I don't know the level of faith in the generations before us. I just always knew my grandparents, and they had faith in the Lord, and they told me that their parents did too. But of course, I didn't know them. But when I look back about the generations coming down, and I know everybody doesn't have that they know about, and I'm very thankful for that. But it doesn't matter whether you have that or not, because the Lord's there for everyone. And that's a commonality that all human beings have if they want to turn their heart towards the Lord.
Well, I echo Timmy's thoughts. Like, it's been a real blessing to have you as a dad all these years. And even if you just want to look at, everything about my ability to provide for my family is from the Lord working through you and your dad, and, back to Griffin Electric, and certainly Mom. And I'm a beneficiary of all that. And it's a great blessing. It really is. And so here's the final question. You want to give Timmy a pop quiz?
Sure.
Yeah!
Well, the way this works with our guests is we alternate questions. And our guests get to go first. So we'll ask him 5 questions. You'll go first, and then just whatever you can think about.
And it's commercial real estate.
Well,
questions.
Anything. You can
ask
quiz
him,
me about anything we talked about today, about your history, or about commercial real estate.
Or about, some of the Bill Barron isms. growing up?
Well, yeah.
Anything having to do with the Bible or Christianity too, if you want to go that direction, I bet I can answer it.
Bet you can too, because I know that I hear things come out of your mouth that were put in there by your mother and Heritage Christian School, and that the scripture says you hide it in your heart, and it'll go to your mind and come out your mouth. That's right. So, what's your favorite scripture?
Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right.
That's good.
Yeah. That I like. Be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Yeah, it's practical.
Yep.
That's very
That is a good answer.
I have used that a lot recently with somebody that I will not mention on this show.
All right. So
Your wife, maybe?
No, not you, honey.
this is where you look at the camera and go, not you, and not you. Okay. So question 2. Before you, there was me.
That's
I was
right.
the one getting in trouble, and people tend to forget because you tended to get in trouble at a more glorious scale than me. But before you, there was me, and there are many times that we'd get a talking to. And Dad would generally do one particular hand gesture when he was talking about discipline and God's authority. Do you remember the hand gesture? And no. It's nothing like that. It's like he was making an illustration with his hands.
I can answer the question if he can't.
And it gives you, it should give you a little bit of a tick. No, which he never did that.
No, he never did. He never did.
All right.
What was it? Oh.
You don't remember coming out from under the authority of the Lord?
Yeah.
That's like you open yourself up to, anything
enemy
that can happen, but
the world
but
and
under
everything
here
else.
you're protected and
Yeah, a little bit. I remember.
I must have got that speech a lot more than you then.
Yeah.
Okay. Question 3.
1 for 2.
Oh, is that a question for me? What's the definition of an internal rate of return? That's a real estate question.
Oh. The IRR, internal rate of return.
It's a good question.
That is a good question. We've talked about
but we've never just talked about this.
I know. But I think I get cash on cash and IRR confused. But here's my shot. I think internal rate of return is the time that you have a property before it sells, or once it sells, there's an amount of money that's profit. And if you were to split it up over the years you've owned it per year, that would be your IRR. That was probably a bad way of saying it, but am I on the right track, or am I explaining cash on cash?
You explained it poorly, but you're exactly right.
Aha! Ah! And so in other words,
it is the average annual rate of return that your money has created for you while it was in the investment. So it factors in time, it factors in the reversion at the end. And after the deal is over, you can then calculate your internal rate of return. Cash on cash, on the other hand, is you've got X amount of dollars in a deal. That's your denominator. And however many dollars you received in that year from the investments, the numerator. And so you just do that calculation, and cash on cash tells you how much cash did I make from the cash I had invested in the deal that year.
yes.
But it's more of a snapshot in time. Internal rate of return factors in the entire life of the investment, which is essentially what you said.
Yes. That's what I meant. That's what I thought.
Nice job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Hey. Thank you.
Explain Okay, here's a recent one.
Explain how our house security system works.
I can do that.
Now, this is a recent one. Explain to Dad what shift share analysis is.
Shift share analysis. You're looking to see who's got a competitive advantage, right?
Comparative.
That's what I mean. Comparative advantage. So you're looking at the different industries nationally. What was the employment hike? You take that layer off. Then
National growth.
National growth. Then industry growth. You take that layer off.
Industry mix,
Then you look at the region.
which is the regional shift.
The regional shift, and see what's going on there in that particular industry. And it's
If they have a large job growth number in the regional shift portion of the analysis,
They got a
that
comparative-
indicates that they have a comparative advantage.
Yeah.
Yep. That's pretty good.
And I'll leave you with the last thought.
Okay.
Just remember, you can't outgive God.
Oh, I thought this was going another way.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, go ahead.
He owns it all. Be generous. What was the other way you were thinking?
Now, look, the fifth question, and I'm going to put words in your mouth, but finish this phrase. You can't pick your friends.
This is actually
you can.
my mother.
This is one of my favorites. And there's two ways to say it. You can pick your friends, and you can pick your nose, but you can't wipe your friends on the curtains.
Or the other way.
Yeah, you can pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't eat your friends.
Cut
You said
that
it,
one out.
Bubba. Hey, we were taught by a fart smeller. A smart
right,
feller.
a smart feller.
Well, Dad, thanks for being on here.
Hey,
Yeah.
my pleasure.
Yeah.
What an honor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you guys.
Love you so much.
Love you.
Love you so much.
All right.
If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, ding that little bell. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That helps a great deal. We love it. We're trying to put together really, really great stuff, and we want as many people to hear it as possible, and that really, really helps. Costs you no money. Just
And
a
we've
little
got
thing.
some shout outs, but we'll probably have to save them to the next episode.
Yeah, well, this is a special episode here. Shout outs. And three of them were Jay. I went through the Spotify. Jay's the only one that responds to the Spotify question. And a lot of times it's just him naming whatever movie I just quoted randomly. But yeah, we'll save those. But sign up for our newsletter. Do you know that? Do you know how they could sign up for that? Subscribe.wgbarron.com.
There you go.
That's right. Sign up for the newsletter, and in that newsletter, you can sign up for Bo's webinars that are coming up with CCIM. We're blowing through this because, Dad's got to get out of here. Love you, Dad.
Sorry, thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, see you.
All right.
Bye, Alice.
Love you.
Bye, Alice.
See you, Alice.